Greetings, friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I am your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here. Every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 3 decades plus of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing and regenerating system. It's designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while that may seem like a miracle to some folks, this renewing system is really nothing more than just the way the body works. And welcome, friends, to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thank you for joining us on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number, 844-236-6010. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share with us, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, we love hearing from you at 844-236-6010. We'll get your calls at the bottom of the hour, as we always do on The Bright Side. If you want to purchase longevity products, call 866-735-2470. That's 866-735-2470. Or head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can purchase longevity products off the website. You can also sign up to join the Bright Side Ben team for a one-time $30 fee. You can be in business for yourself. You can start a health business, a coaching business, a nutrition business, and you can help change the world at the most fundamental and powerful level there is, which is the level of good health, good well-being, the level of having a strong, vital body. That's what you can do when you're helping promote longevity products, when you're helping promote the ideas we share on The Bright Side and the ideas you learn if you're doing the longevity business about how the body works. It's not all nutrition. There's all kinds of other factors that play a role in how healthy we are, how unhealthy we are, but there's nothing that's more important than nutrition. You can't run your body without vitamin C and without protein and without essential fatty acids, without the mighty 90 essential nutrients, no matter how much mind power you have. If you don't have the raw materials to build the body, it's not going to work. Nonetheless, there are other factors. But nutrition is a powerful way to modulate and control health. If you're selling longevity products, you're helping modulate nutrition in the frail, in the elderly, in the healthy, in athletes, and also if you're moving longevity products, you're going to be helping people with personal development as well, because we're about personal development as well as we're about physical development. Call 866-735-2470 for more info, or go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com, and click on the Join the Team link and be part of the Bright Side Ben team and start yourself your own longevity health business. If you're interested in checking out our Truth Skin Health products, head to truthtreatments.com. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want. You shouldn't have to pay for ingredients your skin's doesn't need or doesn't want. That's why I formulated my Truth Skin Health products, all in my compounding pharmacy, all designed to help heal the skin, heal wounds, burns, rashes, acne, etc., hyperpigmentation. Turns out that when you heal the skin, you beautify the skin, and Truth Treatment products are not just healing products, they're beauty products. Truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. All right, welcome back to The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. We are talking about the mind-body connection, the electrical connection, but lest you think that this whole idea of bioelectricity is somehow not real hardcore science, there are so many books and journal articles about the power of things like breathing, the power of things like moving the body, the power of things like intermittent fasting, all because it affects our neurology, all because it affects electrical energy, all because it affects bioelectricity. The body's a crystal. The water in the body is crystalline water. The bones are crystalline. The connective tissue, the collagen, is crystalline. Crystallines absorb energy. Crystals absorb energy. They store energy. They transmit energy. They amplify energy. They transduce energy from mechanical forces into chemical forces. They are as unbelievably scientific / new age airy-fairy as you can get. They're the same thing. What we call new age airy-fairy stuff is really based on crystals and bioelectricity and phenomena that are scientific. And what's more, once we understand it, we can leverage it. That's why breathing is so important. I know I talk a lot about it, but for good purpose. When you breathe, you change your neurology. And vice versa, your neurology changes your breathing, which means you can hack into your neurology through breath. You can hack into your neurology through breath. That is one of the most powerful ideas in all of health. Your neurology is what controls everything else. The nerves control all the other tissues. And the breath controls the neurology. So that means you can hack into your neurology with breathing. From the journal, International Research Journal of Management, Sociology, and Humanities, or the IRJMSH, that's what they call that journal. It's kind of a mouthful. Let's see. It's called pranayama, by the way. That's the technical name for correct breathing. Pranayama might activate thalamus, hypothalamus via the vagus system. Breath patterns activate sensory motor rhythms. They may shut down, breath patterns may shut down executive functions, frontal executive functions, and may explain the subjective feeling of calmness and release from worries. Let me repeat that. The subjective feeling of calmness and release from worries. They're thinking that the breathing explains that, or that the effect on the brain in response to the breathing explains this. What does that tell you? When you breathe, you get a subjective feeling of calmness and a release from worries. What more do we have to hear? Breathing is a powerful. It is probably the single most powerful way to hack into your neurology is breathing. The quickest, the easiest, the most effective way to change your emotional and then your mental and emotional and then physiologic state. If you're stressed in any way, and by the way, if you're stressed in any way, it's not just you being stressed, like feeling worried and anxious, it's also your heart rate becoming less variable, or your heart rate being less flexible, as they say. Heart rate variability or heart rate flexibility is a very important marker of health, and you become less flexible. You get less variability in your heart rate, and that's associated with poor health. When you are worried, when you are stressed out, your immune system becomes suppressed. When you're worried, you're stressed out. You get wrinkles. You get hyperpigmentation for just vanity reasons. The more worry and the more stress we have, and the less sleep we have, and the more activation of the stress nervous system. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we be practicing slow, deep, rhythmic breathing every minute that we can? It's almost like we have this self-sabotage thing going on where we don't want to leverage our power. We don't want to hack into our power. And you guys listening to this program are few and far between. Most people don't even want to think about this kind of stuff. Chinese proverb: if you know the art of breathing, you have the strength, wisdom, and courage of 10 tigers. I love that. This is from, by the way, I'm reading here from a book called The Align Method. Aaron Alexander. It's a very interesting book. That's just the breathing part. There's all kinds of other good stuff he has in here. All right, we'll come back. On the bright side, I want to talk about the basic code of the universe, inhalation and exhalation, also known as pH. You've heard of the pH miracle. Well, the pH miracle, or pH, is basically inhalation and exhalation. Acid, low pH is exhalation. High pH alkaline is inhalation. You can't get any energy if you're only exhaling. You got to inhale to get energy, and that's why an alkaline pH is so important. Acid is blown off. Acid and toxicity go hand in hand, so low pH is associated with toxicity. And there's some interesting reasons. We've talked about this in the past. But there's some interesting reasons for that, and we will discuss that and the relationship of breathing to the electrical energy and the electrical energy / pH, because they're all kind of the same thing. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back on the bright side right after this. All right, we are back on the bright side. Pharmacist Ben here. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive page at brightsideben.com. You can also purchase longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, and also our Facebook page, now that I think about it. The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. We do moments of truth on various health subjects that I find interesting. Today I talked about positive psychology. Positive psychology is really a thing. The whole when I first discovered self-help's been around since probably the 19th century. The transcendentalists, guys like Emerson and Walt Whitman, in the middle of the 19th century, they're credited with starting the modern self-help movement, and then it kind of grew from there with Napoleon Hill and a guy named Wattles. I forgot his first name, Thomas Troward, and Wallace Wattles, I think his name was. And it got going in the 1920s and 1930s, and it's really never stopped. But the whole idea of using self-help ideas and mind power ideas, it's now become an official science called positive psychology. A guy named Martin Seligman, who wrote a book called The Happiness Hypothesis, which is a really cool book, by the way. Came out, 15, 20 years ago. He's got a few books now. He was actually a professor who decided he was going to study what self-help really was, from a neurological, from a biochemical, from a physiologic perspective, from a rigorous scientific perspective. He was going to study what Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich, or even what Jesus talked about in the Sermon on the Mount, if you want to go way back. This idea of working on your mind, Marcus Aurelius Meditations. This idea of working on yourself to make yourself better has a long history, but now it's become an official science called positive psychology. The two founders, it's hard to say who founded it, but two of the most important figures, we'll say, in positive psychology are this guy Martin Seligman, The Happiness Hypothesis. He is a PhD professor, and I'm trying to think of where he was from. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, University of Pennsylvania, I'm pretty sure. And then from the University of Chicago, a guy named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Don't even ask me to spell it. It's this long alphabet soup name, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. But if you look up Flow, F-L-O-W, Flow, University of Chicago, you'll get his name, because he came up with this idea that there is a way that the mind likes to operate that makes us feel good. That's simply, to put it as simply as I can. There's a way that the mind likes to be for us to feel good. They call it actualization, or they call it positive psychology. They have all kinds of weird names for it. Just feel good. There's a way that the mind likes to be to feel good. However scientific marker you want to use, and that's the whole point here. When you feel good, really feel good, and I'll tell you what I mean by that here in a second. When you really feel good, your blood pressure drops, your immune system is stronger. You resist the coronavirus. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. That one is really getting on my nerves here, this coronavirus. Do you know there is a mass shortage in masks around the world for people where people are freaked out about the coronavirus, and they're canceling conventions left and right for the coronavirus. Well, when you're feeling good, really good, your immune system's strong. Think about the last time you caught a cold. You were not feeling good. You were stressed. You were running around. You were doing a million things. If you're feeling great and on top of the world, you're not going to catch a cold, because your thymus and your immune system, your thymus is pumping out the white blood cells, and your immune system is resistant and strong and powerful. You're handling it. And so positive psychology, while it may not sound like much, it is the real deal when it comes to physiologic health. And for us in the healthcare business, like myself, including myself here, to not really think about those aspects of health is really doing our clients and ourselves, if it's us personally, a disservice. All right, so the whole idea of the electrical nature can be thought of like inhalation and exhalation, yin and yang, two phases. This is an archetypal, primal, fundamental idea in human consciousness, how there's one aspect that leads into the next, which leads back to the one, which leads to the next, and back and forth it goes. Inhalation and exhalation are the classic examples of that, but inhalation and exhalation are related to charges. They're related to negative and positive charges. It's an analogy, but it's accurate. This is true on all levels. Inhalation and exhalation has its version of in the body in the electrical nature of charges, positive and negative charges, which, by the way, works with pH, acid and base. So acid, base, inhalation, exhalation, positive and negative charges. That's the relationship between our breath and our body. There's a guy, Robert Young, wrote a book called The pH Miracle. Some of you guys may know about it. Robert Young, unfortunately, is not available for interviews, we'll say. And he's alive still, but he's just not doing interviews. And it's too bad because he made some claims and, he ticked off the wrong people. And he wasn't exactly he knew a little bit. Sometimes a little knowledge is a dangerous thing in the sense that you don't totally get what you're talking about, but he knew enough to know that there's a thing called pH and that has an impact on health. That's true. The idea of eating for your pH, that's not so true. Because pH, this electrical nature of the body, is tightly regulated, and while toxic foods and sugar and processed foods in general tend to have an acidifying effect, it's not like you can eat lemons and they'll be acidifying and you can eat peaches and they'll be alkalinizing. It doesn't work that specifically. The main way our pH is controlled is through the breath because of this relationship between breath, inhalation and exhalation, charges, positive and negative charges, and pH. They're all linked together. As we breathe, we change our pH. That's how you're supposed to change your pH. Oxygen has an alkalinizing effect. So when you take in oxygen, you are alkalinizing. I'll tell you what this really means in terms of the blood because it's very important. So oxygen is alkalinizing. Get in more oxygen. It's alkalinizing. That's how we alkalinize. How do we acidify? Toxicity. Toxicity and metabolic wastes tend to be acid, but it's not that cut and dry. Because acids, this is how cool the body is. These acids that are supposedly toxic and a sign of toxicity, they're not themselves toxic, but they're a sign of toxicity. They themselves are positive charges so that they create an issue. So anyway, it's electrical. It's really an electrical phenomenon why they're so messed up. But oxidation, you've heard of the term oxidation, by the way. Oxidation and antioxidation are these charges. Oxidation is aging. Oxidation is when you create positive charges. Oxidation. Oxygen is an acidifying agent. It's an alkalinizing agent because it creates these changes in charges. Don't get into the details. Just think of alkaline like a vacuum cleaner. Think of oxygen like creating vacuum cleaners. Oxygen creates vacuum cleaners. Oxygen makes the blood more vacuum cleaner-like. And negative charges get sucked in. Negative charges are pieces of electricity. Pieces of electricity are sucked in by the creation of these charges. And that's what pH is so important. So the bottom line here is breathe to change your pH. That's how you change your pH. Sit on a couch and practice slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. The more oxygen you're going to get in the right proportion with carbon dioxide coming out, the more alkaline your blood will be. Alkaline is a vacuum cleaner. The more it will be able to suck up electrons. But there's a key point here. You got to have the electrons following the creation of those positive charges. You've got to have a flow. If you just have one without the other, that doesn't work. That's why when you come home from the gym, you want to do your nutritional supplements, and I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll return right after this.
Are you...
All right, we're back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got lines open, 844-236-6010. 844-236-6010. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share, if you just want to contribute to the conversation, we'll get your calls in the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls after a few things I want to talk about here. And then 844-236-6010 is our number. Truth Treatments can be had at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. And also check out our nutritional supplements at truthnnourishment.com as well. And our Facebook page, if you're not following us, click on the follow link and you'll get notified when we do lives. I keep meaning to do one. I haven't done one for a few weeks, but I will be doing one soon. And then we post, and my moments of truth are also up there. Thanks, Nasima, for setting that one up. Also have our moments of truth with a little bit more production values, but not as frequently posted on criticalhealthnews.com. Thank you, Jonty, for setting that up. You can purchase longevity products at criticalhealthnews.com. Also, pharmacistben.com, also brightsideben.com. All right, so we'll get your calls in just a moment. We're talking about this whole bioelectrical thing, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here. I hope you find this as fascinating as I do, and even more than just finding it fascinating, you can't really understand how the body works without taking into account the fundamental or the basic places where that determine how well it'll show up, how healthy it will be, and that's bioelectricity. That's bioelectrical, and it's not just the bioelectricity that is obvious to us, where muscles move and the brain fires. It's also quantum electricity, and quantum is nothing more than electrons and protons, which is small pieces of just think small pieces of electricity or holes. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to stuff and then holes, and the stuff moves to the holes. Just picture a circle that's like a hole, and then picture a dot that's like stuff in the hole. Things move from the stuff in the hole to the holes. And positive and negative charges are nothing more than holes and stuff in the holes. And it's just a movement. It's movement of stuff into holes, and then out of the holes into more stuff, into other holes. And that's how flow occurs. Wherever there's a hole, you're going to get a flow. You're going to get a movement. That's positive and negative charges. The reason that's important, because if you just have one without the other, you don't get action. In fact, if you just have one without the other, that creates a stress. And that's why you hear people talking who don't understand bioelectricity, but talk colloquially about how acid is bad and how you got to be careful with acid, and that's an acid-forming food. Guess what? When you lift weights, you produce acid, lactic acid. When you lift weights, you're making cells work. You're acidifying the system. Does that mean you shouldn't lift weights? Does that mean you shouldn't exercise? Because when you exercise, you're acid. Okay, never exercise again because you don't want to be acid. That's how non-thoughtful and simplistic and naive most of our thinking about pH and acid is. Acid turns on growth, but you need alkaline so that you can take advantage of that acid, so you can take advantage of the stress. And it's this bouncing around, this movement from acid to alkaline to acid to alkaline that accounts for growth. If you have acid and then you follow it up with alkaline, you'll get a current. You'll get electrical energy. You'll get growth. That's why when you come home from the gym, you've now acidified your muscles, especially if you worked out really well. You got all this lactic acid going on, and you've broken up the cells. That's what you feel the burn, right? You got all this acid going on. You come home, you do your nutrients. You do your electrons, your pieces of electricity. Pieces of electricity are found in protein, especially in fats and carbs. That's why you eat when you come home from the gym. You get yourself the electrons. And you take supplements, because what do supplements do? They help the electrons move. They're not the sources of the electrons, but they help them move. If this doesn't make complete sense, I think it's really important, and I'm going to be talking about it for a while, this whole idea of flow, of bioelectricity, of using electrons to follow proton, or using electrons or antioxidants. Electrons, by the way, are antioxidants. Using antioxidants to follow oxidants, using base to follow acid, alkaline to follow acid, however you want to call it. Creating flow in the body, flow. As in flow from Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who talked about psychological flow. It's all about flow. When we're sick, our pipes are clogged. That's all being sick is. Your pipes are clogged. And you know what? You can feel it when your pipes are clogged. When you start to get sick, notice the next time you catch a cold. When you notice the next time you have a respiratory problem, next time for anybody who has the coronavirus, notice, or who's worried about the coronavirus, I should say, notice before you get sick, you clog up. That's why a rebounder is so important. And by the way, movement is a great way to facilitate electrons, to make the body more alkaline. Yes, exercise in the long run will make the body more alkaline. In the short run, it will make it more acidic. But in the long run, it'll make it run more alkaline. All right, 844-236-6010. I'm definitely not done talking about this stuff. What I want to talk about on our next episode, I'm going to talk about something called field control therapy, which is literally it's medicine that is based on some really interesting concepts of chronic disease that even though the mainstream medical model doesn't talk about, it's something we talk about all the time. The idea of toxicity, the idea of inflammation, the idea of defense, the idea of protecting the body from defense. from its defensive reaction, defensive response. This is actually part of the understanding of field control therapy, or FCT. A really interesting concept of healing as well as how chronic disease occurs. Homotoxicology. It's based on the science of homotoxicology. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to Elaine in Alaska. What's up, Elaine?
Hey, thank you so much for all you do and how much you've helped me with my lupus. And
oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I tell you, yeah. And I don't know if I can do a plug for my brother-in-law.
Yes, you can.
Denver?
Do a plug for your brother-in-law. What does he do?
So he lived quite a while, I guess, kind of in the dark side. He's a recovering drug addict, and he just recently was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he's almost cancer-free. He has such an amazing story.
I want to hear. What did he do? Or do you know everything?
Well, I don't want to mince his words, but he has a podcast called A Power Greater Than. Huh. And his name is Sean Hedden. It's spelled the way everybody loves, S-E-A-N.
Sean Hedden, and is it on like iHeartRadio and all the podcast apps and such?
Well, it's like Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcast. And tell me the name again.
It's called A Power Greater Than.
Okay. Does he have a website? Does Sean have a website?
I bet you he does, because I'm on the internet, and the Power Greater Than explores spiritual solutions to recovery by interviewing those who have identified their power.
Love it. That's awesome. Why doesn't he come on? Why don't you have him call me? We'll put him on.
Yeah.
Have him call me. Now, is this religious or spiritual? Because there's a distinction,
He's like on a spiritual journey.
Not necessarily religious, though. Or yes, religious. I don't know. Yeah, you tell me.
So. I don't.
Because I don't see those as being the same. Sometimes people will say, you know what I mean? Sometimes people say, oh, they're spiritual, but they're talking about some denomination, which is the only denomination. I love it when there's a denomination that says that they're the only denomination that can get you to salvation.
Yeah.
All right. Hang tight, Elaine. We got to take a break.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll return right after this. On the bright side, I am Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Elaine in Alaska. Hi, Elaine. So have Sean give me a shout or actually text or whatever, and let's get him on the program. And that's great. He healed himself of lung cancer.
Well, his doctors aren't quite ready to say he's cancer-free, but it is absolutely amazing. And he's doing an experimental treatment, so I would butcher it if I tried to explain, but he would do a better job explaining, and he's just, really, really finding himself now. So, and he's in Denver, and I would love for him to connect with you at your lab.
Maybe he can come to the lab. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Awesome. Have him come to the next, we do these little longevity talks. You should have him come to one of those. They're not just longevity talks. I don't know. It'll be in the next 4 to 8 weeks, somewhere in there. Try to do them every 1 to 2 months. It's not just longevity, although if he's interested in longevity, it's a great introduction. But we talk about all kinds of stuff.
Right. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, good.
Sounds
all right.
Good. Hey,
so what else? Okay, good. Take care. Have a beautiful day. Nice to talk to you. All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to Dorian. Hey, Dorian, what's up, buddy?
Hi, good morning.
Hey.
Great.
Good morning, Dorian. How you doing today?
Couple questions.
Yes, sir, my friend.
Firstly, I have to confess that sometimes my mind drifts into states of worry.
Does. How old are you, Dorian? Are you a youngster?
35.
You're 35, okay. All right. Well, you know what? It's not you. If you didn't worry, you wouldn't be a normal human being, because we are the ancestors. This is really important for everybody listening. What Dorian just said. He says he's confessing he worries. But here's the thing: we are the descendants of ancestors who survived by worrying. They survived. We're survivors. And the way we survived is by worrying, by being scared, by having an amygdala, by getting high blood pressure when we thought of something stressful. All the things that we consider to be dysfunctional or negative or creating health problems we're stuck with it as a legacy. Does that make sense? It came from our ancestors who survived. We're the ancestors who didn't worry, didn't have children, and we didn't, there were no descendants. So just by virtue of the fact that we worry, we survived, and we made it through thousands of years of being on the African savanna and then being in civilization, etc. Now, what I'm talking about is hacking into that. So the tendency is normal to worry. But what I'm saying is we can override our natural tendencies. And this, by the way, occurs at the level of the genetics. Is to hack into your biochemistry, into your genetic legacy, which is what breathing does when you freak out. When you get a credit card bill, or your girlfriend breaks up with you, or somebody dies, or you get fired from your job, or all the things that freak us out in our modern culture, when you can override, you have an instinctive, I don't think it's instinctive way of being. You have a basic, fundamental, habitual, or evolutionarily mandated genetic way of being, but you can hack into it. And when you hack into it, you override not just the behavior, but your genetics. That's called epigenetics. So when you think positive thoughts, like positive psychology talks about, or if you listen to my Moment of Truth, I talked about the difference between pleasure and enjoyment. I forgot I was going to talk about that a little bit. Pleasure is when something happens to you physically, somatically. Enjoyment is when something happens to you emotionally and mentally. Achieving a goal gives you enjoyment. Eating ice cream gives you pleasure. Enjoyment is a much more powerful neurochemical stimulus than pleasure. Enjoyment lasts, pleasure doesn't. Enjoyment has epigenetic implications. Pleasure doesn't have as significant epigenetic implications. In fact, pleasure will down-regulate genes. Enjoyment will up-regulate genes. And enjoyment up-regulates adaptive genes, building genes, anabolic genes. Pleasure, over the long run, will down-regulate those. That's called the hedonic treadmill. That's called hedonic means pleasure. That's the pleasure treadmill where you keep needing more and more pleasure. With enjoyment, that doesn't happen. So this distinction between enjoyment and pleasure needs to be leveraged. And when you take advantage of it, you not only change the way you see the world, but you change yourself at the very genetic level. So don't worry about worrying. Anybody, not just Dorian, because what you just said, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking. Don't worry about worrying. It's part of how you're wired. It's the way you're built. But at the same time, you can override that. That's what makes human beings so special in the animal kingdom, is we can override our instincts genetically. We can volitionally, with volition, with will. Through our intention, we can override things that a monkey cannot. A monkey can't intend to override his genetics like a human being can say, I'm going to override my genetics right now, and I'm going to create different epigenetic pathways right now, and I'm going to activate a different part of my genome through breathing, through smiling, through posture, through nutrition, through exercise, through all the things we talk about, through light, all the things through all the things we talk about on this program. All right, I didn't mean to get off my high horse there, but go ahead, Dorian. How can I help you today?
I have another concern for a customer, and I wanted your suggestion.
Sure.
They have a stomach tumor.
Oh, that's not good. Malignant?
I'm not sure.
It's cancer? Okay, so obviously if you have a stomach tumor, you got a stomach problem. That means you're going to have a problem with foods. You're going to have a problem with getting nutrients from foods. So, and gastric cancer is it's a slow-growing cancer. So if they notice it now, it's possible that it's been going on for a long time, which means they've been malnourished for a long time. So what you have to do when you have either an intestinal issue like that or a stomach issue, any digestive issue, is you really got to do IV nutrition. You got to get the nutrients right in the blood. If not IV, because it can be, I don't know if sometimes insurance doesn't cover it, at least liquids, but still, IV is the best. There's no getting around it. If it is cancer, if it's a malignant tumor, I wouldn't mess around with it, and it's unspeakably miserable. Gastric cancer, it's a horrible, horrible thing. And then on top of everything else, now you got to deal with malnourishment because you're not processing your food correctly. And then you got to deal with more intestinal problems, which can lead to more illness and disease. It's just a big mess. IV nutrition, absolutely, if you can do it. And
Okay.
This is somebody you're a longevity client, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, I'd be doing IV stuff personally.
Okay.
Okay, how old is this person?
He is 45.
Oh my God. And was he healthy before, or do you know him, or you just met him?
I don't really know the person that well.
Ask him about if he noticed if he had like digestive issues his whole life, number one, and if he did, if he can figure out what the foods are, that would help. But you really got to get him nutriated. He's starving. On top of the cancer, now he's starving, and especially when it gets really bad, you start throwing up, and it's a very bad situation. IV nutrition is what I would do. Does that make sense? All right.
Very much.
All right, Dorian. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate all my Brightside listeners. You guys are the cream of the crop. If you first of all, if you enjoy what we're talking about here, or if you understand what we're talking about here, or even if you just enjoy what we're talking about here, that puts you in the top some percent, 0.5%, 1/4% of people that are out there. Most people don't want to know any of this stuff. They got a problem, they're going to go to the doctor. They got a health challenge, they're going to get a prescription drug. If they're worried about the coronavirus, or if they read about the coronavirus, they're going to run out and get masks. That's how most people operate. We lose our power. The word authority comes from the word author, which means when you write a story. A health authority is somebody who's writing your health story. What we're about here on the Bright Side is you becoming your own health authority, understanding how to take care of your body on your own. That's why we go into the weeds sometimes about piezoelectricity and the crystalline nature of the body, the crystalline nature of food, pH, and acid base, and quantum. We talk about quantum chemistry on this program, and if you're listening to it, you're still listening to it, we're talking about the hardest subject there is in all chemistry. It's called PChem, physics and chemistry, physical chemistry. I call it quantum chemistry, but it's known as PChem. And in pharmacy school, there was a famous bumper sticker that everybody would wear that said, "Honk if you passed PChem," because PChem had a reputation. Physical chemistry had a reputation for being the absolute hardest and most overwhelming subject that you could study, even if you were in pharmacy school or even if you're a chemist. But it's really as abstract as it may seem, and as mathematically abstruse or just weird and vague as it is. It's really important understanding how nutrition works, how micronutrients and macronutrients work, how exercise works, how breathing works, how pH works, how health works. All of it comes down to PChem, quantum chemistry, and that's what we talk about in this program. So give yourself some credit if you're still listening. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Our website's brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com for the longevity products, and truthtreatments.com for our Truth Skin Health products, and our Facebook page, The Bright Side with Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you later. Bye for now.